Hi, in this video I will share a real-life automation project we did for one of our clients. And you can get this entire automation with the custom interface for free. Watch till the end and I will share how. We started to work with this e-commerce brand a few months ago. And about a month ago, I received a request, which was the email from one of the team members who was saying, hey, Eugene, we've been talking with the team and I wanted to ask you to do an automation for us. Can you do an AI agent that will go over our competitors' products and analyze their reviews? Please give me the call. So while we've been working on the customer success agent for their customer support department, they requested us to build them the agent that will scrape the reviews of the competitors and do the analysis. We had a conversation and this is what we came up with. The goal was to obviously go through the specific ASIN numbers, which is the unique identifier of a product on Amazon. Any product on the Amazon marketplace has this ASIN number. You can find it here. It always starts with a B letter. And then we have three main sections of this entire build. The first one is the interface, where we input the ASIN as well as the parameters, how we want this automation to be started. Then we send the data to the n8n Workflow, where the magic happens. And of course, we need to use a scraper that will actually go to this product page, scrape the reviews, and then save them somewhere. And for that, we are using Apify, because there are a lot of the options to choose the scrapers that fit your needs. If we go a bit in details over the entire pipeline. So the first step is we input the ASIN in the interface. Then this ASIN is getting sent to the n8n. Then inside n8n, we are making an API call to Apify. Apify goes to the Amazon, scrapes the data, and then returns it back to the webhook. Then we save this data and let AI agent talk with this data. Let me share how everything works. The interface was built on a platform called Lovable, which is one of the best platforms when it comes to the vibe coding. There are a lot of different options that you can choose from, but we usually use Lovable because this is A, the most straightforward interface to use, and B, it has a direct integration with the Supabase database. Even though here we're not using the Supabase, but for most of our projects we do. That is why it is here. Now, it is also deployed on a custom test domain here that we can use for the sake of this demo. So if we go into Amazon, let's search for the dog supplements, because these are all of the competitors that I had when I was selling on Amazon myself. So if we get this specific ASIN from this product, if we copy it, go to the interface and input it here. As you can see, this is the first required field. Then we need to choose the Amazon domain. And the reason for that is because this specific e-commerce client that we worked with is selling in the UK, US, and Canada. There are, these are kind of the different marketplaces. This is why you would want to use the different parameters in your scraper. So let's scrape the 2 pages of the most recent reviews. And then we click Start Analysis. I will show you the entire backend, how everything is built, so don't worry about that. This is just a demo. So here we can see only 5 reviews. And the reason for that is because when you go to the product, not a lot of people know that, but if you see 164 reviews, it doesn't mean that these are all text reviews that can be scraped, because most of the reviews are actually just the star. So people can rate the product with a star without leaving any text review. So here we can see these are all of the 5-star reviews, and it does output the images of these reviews right here. And you can even see the gallery if there are multiple of them. So now, if we go into the AI analysis here, if we click this button, it will analyze all the saved data from this product and output top strength, issues, and recommendations how to improve the product. And you can see them right here. A very interesting thing that we decided to do, which was actually a request from the customer, is to have the actual agent they can talk to. So this is what this section is for. So when you click Start Chat, here you can start chatting with this data. So we can say, what are the top things people say about this product? Now, we're probably not going to have much because there are only 5 reviews, but we'll have some information here. It is connected to the Claude for Opus model, and we can use the different models, and I'll explain how it is done on the backend. So here you can see that it just gives, the dogs actually love the taste, the real results for senior dogs, and you can actually create and chat with the data depending on the information that you're trying to analyze. Now, if we go back and start the process from the very beginning, so let's find a product with 35, let's say 1,000 reviews right here. So this would be the ASIN if we put it here. And let's say, again, most recent ones, or let's say the top reviews. Yeah, let's actually do the most recent ones so that there are some negatives, and let's search for the 5 pages. Of course, it will take a bit more time because there are, 5 pages to be scraped by the Apify and then sent to the interface to be rendered, but it usually never takes more than a minute. So here we actually have 49 reviews, which are all 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1-star reviews. Now, let's choose a different model. Let's say we're going to use the Gemini 2.5, which I love. It is going to be longer, so let's choose the 4.0. And what are people saying about ingredients? While we are waiting, you will also see that if you click on the AI analysis, you will also be able to download the report and send it to the client. Now, we are giving this specific interface to our clients, so of course they can chat with it themselves. But let's say if you would want to have this as your own tool and then only provide the custom reports to the clients, you can just export it and send to the customer. And this is what people say about the ingredients as a custom reply from one of our agents, and you can see the reviews here. Now let's go into the backend. So when we are inputting the information in the interface, this interface sends this data that we have input from here into the n8n. And this is the automation that we are looking at. Below this video, in the description, there will be a link to my free resource hub. When you go there, you will be able to download this exact automation as well as have a copy of this interface. So you can copy and duplicate the same exact project with all of the settings to your own Lovable account so that you can start using it right away. So whenever we are inputting the information here, it actually triggers the webhook inside n8n. And if we go to the executions, you will see that this was the recent execution. If you open it here, you will see that it, in the body, it sends the information that we've input in here. Then, once this information is processed and received by the webhook, the next step is to save this info in custom fields. Now, this step is not required, but if you watch this channel, you know that we love to use custom fields and set edit fields within our n8n workflows, because once you set this, let's say, ASIN number field once, then you can use it across your automation. So this is just made for the organization purposes. And the next step is to have the scraper to scrape the product reviews. We are using a Apify node from n8n. We of course could do the custom HTTP request, but usually it is not needed to start running the scraper. So here we choose the count, we choose the actor, we say run the actor, recently used actors, we choose it from the list, and we choose the actor that we are going to be using. If we go to the Apify, here you will see the Amazon reviews scraper. And again, the link to this actor will be sent and will be available in the free resource hub. Now, for those of you who never interacted with the Apify, let me clarify a few things. The actors are like agents, but they're not smart, so these are more like custom scrapers. So you can choose any actor that you want. So basically we have the Apollo actor, aka the scraper, the TikTok scraper, which is also an actor. So the actor is basically like a scraper. This is the terminology that the Apify using. So whenever you're choosing the actor, here in the input, you have the input fields that you can give to the scraper to then scrape this specific product. So if we actually get the same async here and paste it here, then click save and run, it will start the scraper. And the start process called a run. So you can see any actor has total runs. So if there are 15 runs, it means that this scraper was ran 15 times. And you can actually find all these runs right here. If you go to the runs tab, you will see all of the runs right here. So if we open a specific run, you'll have the log that you don't really need, and you have the storage. So this is where it stores all the information that was scraped on this specific run. And if you click on the preview, you can actually preview the JSON of the information that was scraped. So now, this is how you would do it manually. But of course, you can use the Apify API right here to call this actor with a third-party interface, which in our case is n8n. Now, but instead of making a custom HTTP request using all of these endpoints, inside n8n you have a custom actor. So this is why you're choosing this actor right here, and in the body you provide the input. This input matches the actual required input from the actor informational description. So this, you can see, we provide the ASIN, which is the ASIN that we're getting from the webhook that was saved in the ASIN number set field. Same thing with the domain code, sort by, recent, most helpful, most hated, and maximum amount of pages. So now, we are getting the information from this scraper. And you can see we're getting it right here. Once you input all the information here, this actor starts. So here you can see that you are not getting the results from the scraper, because the scraper or the actor might take a few seconds, sometimes a few minutes, to scrape the data. That is why here you are basically starting it first. And then you are making a GET request to the Apify endpoint where you provide the dataset ID. So now, again, within this node, we started this specific scraper. So it was started, and now the run is getting processed. So it goes through the Amazon product reviews, scrapes them, and saves them. But it might take some time. So when you started this run, you have the ID. And then you are making an HTTP GET request with the same dataset ID that you got from starting the Apify scraper to now get all of the information that was scraped by the actor. So here you can see all of the reviews that were actually scraped. Again, just to make sure that you understand. First step is start the actor. The second step is to get the information that was scraped by this actor. Then we're using a code block just to clear some data in the format that we need to then pass to Lovable, and then we're responding to the webhook. So basically, this response right here is getting sent back to Lovable. That is why it is getting saved inside this app, and you can chat with this data. So if we input and if we get this number again, we put it here, we check only 10 reviews. So you'll see in the execution history, one run is currently active. You'll also see this run right here. This was the recent one, so we got the 10 results. Now, this should be successful pretty soon, okay? It is done, and we got the information back to Lovable with 9 reviews, with a rating, with everything, okay? Now, the way the analytics, which is AI analysis, as well as chat works is a bit different because we are not using our n8n workflows. We have actually set it up inside Lovable. For most of the automations that we have, we are using Open Router. This is just an app that allows you to have one API key and access multiple models. So we connected this Open Router, our account, we provided the API key through the keys right here to our Lovable interface. So whenever we are starting the chat, here it's actually making us choose the model. And these models come from the Open Router. Now, Open Router does have probably more than 200 different LLMs models. These are just one of the ones that you can use. And when you input, give me a summary of the reviews. Once you input this information, it basically, on the backend, gets the data that was saved from this run. See, we are responding to the webhook. This webhook is inside Lovable. So Lovable has all of the reviews that were scraped. So now when we are asking for a summary, we are basically sending the request to the AI agent that now has our request, as well as all of the scraped data on the backend. And this is how it generates the response right here. A very similar thing happens when you click the AI analysis. Everything is pretty defined. Here you can see that it always output 5 issues, 5 strength, and 3 recommendations. So this is more of a dynamic way. Give me a summary of the reviews, and then it gets this query and match it with the actual data that was saved. Here, it has this data right here when you click AI analysis, and it just says, Okay, based on the data that was scraped, please provide 5 strength points, 5 issues, and 3 recommendations. You might ask how to build this whole thing on Lovable. And this is the actual power of the apps, of the vibe coding apps like this, because it is pretty much easy for you to set something like this. You only need to be able to prompt it in the right way. So as you can see, we were not coding anything. We've been just chatting with the interface, trying to set everything up the way we want. Now, once you are building something like this from scratch, you can say your goal is to input the Amazon product ASIN and then trigger the webhook, which is the webhook in n8n, and then pass all of the information that was input through this specific form into this webhook. Now you can also create a custom fields for the webhook. So let's say you would want to send different data to different webhooks. So you can easily ask AI right here to add a webhook to send it to. Now, I actually think that we can do it live with you. So if we ask it to add a webhook that we are sending this information to so that it is dynamic, can you please add a field at the first page where we input the ASIN, where I will put the webhook URL, and the data from this form will be sent to this webhook, please. So now here somewhere it should put the actual webhook field. So we're gonna get this specific webhook, which obviously should be a production URL. So here you can see that it made quite a few different modifications on the backend, but the main one from the interface standpoint is this webhook field. So now if we put the webhook that we got from n8n, and if we get this ASIN number, go here, input, and click Start Analysis, you should see the execution pop up right here. So now maybe you have different automations where you would want to set up and send this information. So it's completely up to you how you would want to set this whole thing up. We have charged $2,000 for this specific build. Of course, the main project for this specific client was the customer success agent that is connected to their email and process more than 200 emails every day. Very soon, I will make a separate video on this channel where I will talk more about this specific client and about this agent. But I wanted to share a quick win that we got as basically an upsell to the existing client based on the request that they were sending us. We were not overcharging, and I don't think that you can charge more than $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for something like that, because it is pretty easy. It doesn't fix the actual problem for most businesses, but it is a great tool to have, especially when you're running the market analysis or when your department is doing some sort of a research on a new product to launch, if we're talking about Amazon businesses. So this is everything that I wanted to share. Again, in the description, there is a link, Free Resource Hub. You can get this n8n automation as well as the duplicate of this specific Lovable project for you to use, sell, and learn from. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.